Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience. I'm having a little bit of tech challenges here. Let me know if you can see and hear me now. We're getting started a few minutes late. Had to transfer from my desktop computer to my laptop because that one wasn't connecting. So please let me know in the chat if you are seeing and hearing me before I get started. Our topic today is breathing, and I have some really cool things I'm excited to share with you. But could somebody please type it? Okay, we see and hear you. Awesome. It's great to be seen and heard. I can see you all in the chat. I can hear you in a sense. So please be active in the chat, and I'll check back as much as I can to keep this conversation dynamic. We're talking about breathing today, not just for fertility, but for overall health. And I'm going to tie in some threads to how this does relate to fertility, how this relates to pregnancy, how this relates to physical, emotional health, and longevity. So I have a lot in mind that I want to talk about. I'll also be talking about the upcoming 7-day Chill Out Challenge events that are starting on Monday, July 26th, and enrollment is open till this Friday, July 23rd. I will talk about those events at the end, and you'll see how all of this ties together. Okay, please go ahead and type in the chat. Let us know how you're doing, where you are in the world. I'm Dr. Natalie Masson. I'm a psychologist specializing in the mind-body connection, and one of my favorite topics is fertility, as you all found me here on the Fertility from the Soul YouTube channel. Another of my favorite topics is breathing, because breathing I see as the bridge between the mind and the body. I'll be talking about that more extensively today. So it's so great to be on here live with my community here. I see you, May Silva, Beta, Sarah, Alex, hi Alex, Miranda, Manisha, Embodied Nature, love it, the dab. Okay, so, all right, I'm just getting my head together after that little tech glitch. I think I had a tech glitch on my last live stream too. The problem is I don't do these live streams often on YouTube, and so I think I had glitches that I never actually worked out last time and I forgot. So here we are. Okay, let's get right into it. I'll be checking the chat, but definitely I'll be opening it up for more Q&A after I get through the content that I want to share with you. So a lot of the way that I teach is experiential. I think that getting the brain involved and thinking through the logic of things actually gets in the way of a lot of the natural flow of things, because I truly believe there's a lot of wisdom in our body, in our psyche, that if we stop thinking so hard about things, a lot of things kind of sort themselves out. So you'll see a lot of my meditations on YouTube. I don't talk a lot about what we're doing. We just get right into it. And that's the same with the 7-day challenge events that are coming up next week. We don't talk a lot about the logic. We get right into the practice, because that's where I think the real juice is. Today, we are going to be activating the thinking part of the brain, because I want you to have a chance to understand the science behind some of what I do and behind some very simple shifts that I think most people could make in their breathing to improve the way all their systems are functioning. So we are going to go into a little more of an analytical space in this talk today, because I think that it helps you get why we're doing the things the way we're doing them, and what might work for you and what might not be working for you. So we're going to get into the science behind better breathing, and it really comes down to the focus in today's talk is getting oxygen to our cells, and it's not what most people think of when they think of breathing better. So I'll break that down for you so you understand. I'll be talking about how it applies to fertility, pregnancy, and overall health and longevity. So whatever stage you're at could be relevant I'm sorry, I've got weird pop-ups coming onto my screen. What is going on? Okay. Oh, that was the screen that I'm not actually using for this. Okay, there's my outline. Okay. Whew. Okay, I have a stable technical connection here. I thought that I had just lost everybody. Wrong computer. Okay, so no matter where you are in your journey, I believe you'll find things here that are going to be helpful to you. I'm going to show you some quick tips that you can apply now, and then talk about more ways that you can learn on a deeper level, because I do think there are aspects of this that it takes time to kind of re-educate your system, your mind and body, and how they relate to your breathing. And I'll also be talking about the 7-day challenges that are coming up next week, and I'll answer any questions that anybody has about that at the end. Okay, so before I get into this, if anybody is new to this channel and to my work, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a psychologist, and my first interest in my field has been the mind-body connection, and not just talking about what's going on, but feeling into it, and how do emotions get stored in our bodies? How can we work with the breath and the body to improve our mental and emotional health? So that's where I have lived in my psychology work. And then in my 40s was when I started, when we started building our family, and our first pregnancy happened actually very easily when I was 41. And then our second one was not easy at all. It was a long time to get pregnant, and then 2 miscarriages. I was 45 years old and looking for what might be outside of the box, things that we could do, things to think about to improve egg quality, because that's the issue I was having due to my age, and to get pregnant again. So I was able to do that after a 3-month egg nurturing break. And I got my positive healthy pregnancy test in just as I was turning 46 years old. My daughter's 5 years old now. My second daughter's 5 years old now. And I really enjoy expanding people's minds about what is possible with fertility in your 40s, and the many different avenues that we have to influence our fertility, our health, and our wellness. So today we're diving deeper into the science of breathing and how that ties in to all different ways that you're functioning emotionally and physically. Okay, tell me who here is interested in learning more about breathing, and also let me know what challenges you've had over time with breathing, messages that you've heard about better breathing, because we're going to be breaking some of that down. Okay, so we need to start with a basic framework for the topic I'm looking at, how to get oxygen to the cells. So breathing basics. We breathe air in, we breathe air out. How does that serve us? We are drawing in air that's composed of many things, but oxygen is the piece that we want to breathe in to oxygenate the cells. We breathe out CO2, because after the cells use oxygen, CO2 is the byproduct. It's sort of the waste product, and exhaling, we release the CO2. Plants do the opposite, right? They take in the CO2, they release oxygen. So we are symbiotic with plants, passing back and forth nourishment through the air. Okay, so we breathe in oxygen, we exhale to release the CO2, and our goal is to get oxygen to the cells. This is what powers the cells. This is what powers our mitochondria in the cells, which, if you've listened to my teachings about egg quality, that's what we think is important for better egg quality. It's not the eggs themselves that need youth, it's the mitochondria that need power to lead to better egg development in the months before ovulation. It's also important during pregnancy, obviously, to be well oxygenated, and for all of your longevity and health, getting oxygen to the cells is what keeps us strong and thriving. Okay, so that's the basics. We want to bring in oxygen. We want it to get to our cells. So if we look at the basic transportation highway of getting oxygen to the cells, we bring the air into the lungs. The lungs are in your chest. Inside the lungs, the oxygen goes through your membranes of your lungs into your bloodstream. In your bloodstream, the oxygen attaches to the red blood cells. Specifically, it attaches to hemoglobin in the red blood cells and gets moved through your body and dropped off at the cells where oxygen is needed. And that's the basic pathway. So what can happen along there that we want to pay attention to? Well, first of all, we want the lungs to be bringing breath in and letting breath out. Now, this is usually where people are focusing on the breath. It's like, okay, well, is air coming in? And they think if I'm having a breathing issue, I need to figure out how to get air into my lungs. That's actually not where the glitch often is. We go farther down the line. We want the blood to be moving through the body to get the oxygen circulating to where it needs to go. And then we need to transfer the oxygen from the red blood cells to the cells that are going to get the oxygen. And this is actually where we're going to be focusing on the third part of the chain where the oxygen gets transferred. So as I said, oftentimes people are focusing on just getting breath in, and it's very common to hear the instruction, take a deep breath. Calm down by taking a deep breath. Nourish yourself by taking a deep breath. Now, if you listen closely to all of my meditations and breathing meditations, guided imagery, you probably don't ever hear me say, take a deep breath. That might be surprising to you because it's a common thing that people say. It sounds like a good idea. Sometimes it feels good to take a deep breath, but that's not actually the focus of where I want your attention to be, and I'll explain why. So when we breathe too quickly, let me back up here a second. This is where it gets a little heady and complicated, and I want to be sure that I'm not overloading you with information that's going to confuse you. Okay, so I want to talk about hyperventilation and something called the Bohr effect. And then I'm going to tie it back and you'll see how it all relates. So hyperventilation, hyper means over, ventilation means moving air. So when we overbreathe, when we breathe more quickly than we need to, what's happening is we're getting breath in, out, a little bit too rapidly. And every time we exhale, we're releasing CO2. And so the CO2 level in the blood goes down. CO2 is acidic, as CO2 goes down, pH goes up, and then something happens here that is very critical, which is when the pH level in the blood goes up, the oxygen cells stay bound to the hemoglobin. Okay, so the oxygen stays on the hemoglobin that's circulating, but it doesn't transfer into the cells where the oxygen is needed. Okay, so I have a metaphor to help you understand this. So air coming into the lungs is like the oxygen is our friend that got on an airplane and took a ride to its general destination, the airport in your city. So that's your lungs. And now your friend has to come and visit you. You're the cell that needs oxygen, okay? Oxygen has to come and visit you. And so oxygen gets on a car that gets on the highway. So the highway is like your blood flow, and the car is like the red blood cell. Are you with me still? I don't know if this is making sense. The car is like the red blood cell. Oxygen puts on a seatbelt. That is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is what it attaches to so that it gets carried along, okay? So you got the seatbelt on. It's not the perfect metaphor as I'm saying it out loud. You've got the seatbelt on, cruising around, so oxygen is on its way to its destination, the cell that needs oxygen. if the red blood cell arrives there and the pH level of the blood is too high, let's say you've been hyperventilating, you're breathing too fast, pH level is too high, seatbelt stays on, oxygen is there, but doesn't get out into the cell because the pH level is too high. So it'd be like the Uber driver just keeps circling around and not dropping the passenger off. Does this make sense? I think this metaphor is kind of fun. So oxygen is in your blood, it's cruising around, available for the cells, but not getting off the road and actually transferring into the cells. This is called the Bohr effect, B-O-H-R, not like boring, B-O-H-R. It was the name of the scientists that established this connection. It's a very well-known phenomenon. If you're breathing too quickly, your carbon dioxide level in the blood goes down, your pH level in the blood goes up, the oxygen stays bound to the red blood cell, the hemoglobin, it does not transfer to the cells where they're needed. So that's called hyperventilation. And what are the symptoms of hyperventilation? There are many, and you may be, if you breathe faster than you need to, you may be mildly, chronically hyperventilated and have some of these symptoms now and then. You're not going to have all of these symptoms necessarily, but listen to the symptoms of hyperventilation. The one we're most familiar with is lightheadedness. I mean, we could all sit here right now, breathe in and out quickly for a minute, and we would all be lightheaded. The other things you might notice is tingling, numbness in the fingers and toes, headaches, cold extremities, heart palpitations, chest pain, poor digestion, poor concentration, dissociation, anxiety. So you can see the range of things that can happen from hyperventilation are all different physical symptoms, could be neurological, all different physical symptoms throughout the body, and also emotional symptoms, mental and emotional. So feeling disconnected, depersonalized, anxiety, poor concentration. And there are so many systems that could be affected that when I first started learning about chronic hyperventilation, I came across a term. It's not an official term, but it's something that came to be labeled fat file syndrome. And that is because people with chronic hyperventilation will go to the neurologist, they'll go to the psychiatrist, they'll go to, what's the doctor that focuses on digestion? Gastroenterologist. They'll go to the cardiologist because they're having chest tightness, all these different systems. And then they end up with a fat file because the cardiologist is going to test their heart functioning. It's fine. The neurologist tests their brain. It's fine. Nobody's coming up with anything because nobody's saying, how's your breathing? So even the pulmonologists don't really look at it in this level of what's the balance of your breathing. They're looking for diseases and things like that. So this is not a disease or an illness. This is just a condition, which is a byproduct of breathing too fast. So fat file syndrome is when somebody's gone to all the specialists and they have all these records in there because their breathing is off and nobody's saying, how's your breathing? Are you anxious? How's this tying together? So all of this can lead to a vicious cycle because, as you can see, the hyperventilation can lead to anxiety, and anxiety leads to faster breathing. How does that come in? This is kind of fun too. So the fight or flight response is part of what gets triggered when we have anxiety. Anxiety is fear something's not safe. So our primitive brain says something's not safe. We're going to have to fight, flee, or freeze. So let's get ready. And the nervous system gets ready to fight or run, or sometimes it freezes. And if we're not actually under physical threat where we need to fight or run away, we have this surge of physiological reactions that just prepared us for a big outpouring of physical energy, but most of us aren't actually doing something big and physical when we're stressed out. We're just sitting there going, oh my gosh, where's the money going to come from for rent this month? Or what happens if I don't get pregnant this month, whatever, but it's not related to a physical threat that we're actually going to run from or fight. So we end up with this cycle of we're hyperventilating because something that's emotional, not physical in nature. And that just feeds into the imbalance. And when it really goes up, that's when we have panic attacks. A panic attack is an extreme version of this surge of emotional intensity and fear and physiological reactions all coming together. And it leads a lot of people to the emergency room because they think they're having a heart attack. So that's on the extreme end. On the mild end, we're just not feeling great. We're not concentrating well. We feel a little spacey sometimes, and we're breathing too fast and we don't realize it. In my observations, just working with, I tend to, in my therapy practice, see a lot of people who are anxious. Everybody has stress. Some people have it on a higher level where it gets to anxiety. And I'd say 99% of people that I work with and see in person are breathing too fast. And we do simple tests of just counting how many breaths per minute they're taking. And then when we slow that down, a whole bunch of symptoms go away, including some of the feelings of stress. Sometimes the relaxation comes just from slowing the breath down, not actually changing anything about the way they're, anything about the stressors themselves. So let me know in the chat if you're here live, is this making sense? That's kind of the circle of how we can get caught in this cycle of we have plenty of oxygen. Our bodies need oxygen to live, so they are hardwired to do everything to get the oxygen. The problem is the CO2 levels might be too low if we're breathing too fast, and then the oxygen's not actually getting delivered. So we need the oxygen to get to the cells for all different reasons. And every time I look into different means of improving egg quality and improving longevity, all arrows point back to getting oxygen to the cells. And a couple of weeks ago, I did an intensive session on what I was learning about light therapy, red light and near infrared light therapy, where you shine light on the body and the light penetrates the skin and stimulates activity that seems to have kind of anti-aging effects and a lot of healing properties. And when I delved into the science behind it, one of the things they think it's doing is it's interfacing with how oxygen gets into the cells. So again, it's a lot about improving the efficiency, effectiveness of oxygen getting actually into our cells. Like we may have it in our bodies, but it's not getting exactly to where it needs to go. So there are all different ways that you can improve oxygenation to your cells. You could be focusing on movement, exercise, circulation, massage, acupuncture, things that help move blood through your body to get the blood, oxygenated blood moving. But you still need to have the right balance, chemistry balance, pH balance in your blood so that the oxygen gets delivered, so that the oxygen cell can remove their seatbelt from the hemoglobin and get out and go to where they're needed. Okay, so that is the quick overview of the scientific rationale for why the balance of our breathing is what really matters. It's not the amount of our breathing, that matters too, but the critical piece that many people miss is the pacing of our breathing, and most people are breathing too fast. So those are my quick bits of gold nuggets right there. The ways to slow down your breathing. There can be many factors that play into why you're breathing more quickly than you need to, and the process of getting all that to slow down. It can be many pieces, and I teach those in a lot of different ways. I'm experimenting with many different ways to help people learn that quickly. But the idea that I want to really convey at this time is that usually what we need to do is slow down, not necessarily deeper breaths or breathing more, but slowing down. And that I look at from a few directions. There's removing physical tensions that might create tension around the breath so that the breath can't just move naturally, and decreasing stress, decreasing that fight or flight reaction that might be cueing our bodies to say, we better get ready for the big run, start hyperventilating in advance, and creating feelings of safety. So you see the way all my meditations are designed is really to enhance that feeling that I'm okay, I'm safe, I don't need to have my guard up, I can relax. And the relaxation helps cue the brain that we can slow down the breathing, and that helps balance out the pH levels, which helps oxygen get to where it's needed. Okay, so you can see that it's both the mind and the body working together to help create a balanced system. Now, okay, KMC asks, how do you slow the breath down and train your body to do that naturally? Okay, I love that question. I love that question so much because that is exactly how I want you to be thinking about it. The risk when I do a short training like this is that people go into goal-oriented mode with like, okay, I'm going to slow my breathing down. Stressful, right? So this is where there's a little art to teaching how to do it, because as soon as we get goal-oriented and try to make it do something, we're not getting there naturally. And so much of what I teach about all things, fertility, emotions, breathing, is about how do we get to where the body does this naturally, where this becomes the natural set point, where you don't have to think about it to make it happen. And in fact, I really believe that your best breathing is going to happen when you get out of the way, when you learn to get out of the way, trust your body, and support what your body does naturally. And why is that? Because I don't think that we know, I don't think this part of our brain, the front where we have logic and we direct things, I don't think we know what our body needs exactly from moment to moment for the breath. That knowledge is in a different part of our brain, the primitive part of our brain that senses many things going on and puts together this very complex formula of what do I need right now. So the trick ends up being actually to learn how to not try to remove barriers, physical and emotional, mental barriers that might be interfering with the breath flow, create that sense of safety and ease, and then let the breath do what it does. Okay, so that is a general answer to how we do it. I have a few meditations on YouTube that you can follow. I linked one of them in the description below. It's on my non-fertility channel called Harmony Within, and it's a whole meditation about how to slow the breath and getting into practical techniques that you can use to slow it down. And I'm doing this in this artful kind of way where we don't want to get goal-oriented, but we want to remove the blockages and just let the breath go. And it's amazing what changes people notice when they go through that process of removing the blockages and letting the breath go. And you'll see in the comments on that meditation, people reporting in what changes they've seen. And it's pretty amazing how the breathing rate drops down when we just understand a few things and make a few shifts. So that meditation, I think, is about 20 minutes long. I encourage you to try that out if you haven't yet, and that'll give you more specifics about how we do that. So this one's going to be a little more the heady logic behind it rather than the practice, but hopefully that gives you a little teaser of what you can do. Okay, so I want to relate this to the different stages we might be in. So trying to get pregnant, being pregnant, not pregnant or trying to get pregnant, just focused on health and longevity. When it comes to fertility, there are two areas that I focus on a lot. Well, three. One is we need to nourish our system a lot to have the extra resources to contribute toward growing a new human being. So that would be your things like nutrition and exercise. We're getting that energy and nourishment into the body. Then we want to really watch stress, because stress tells the body to prioritize resources toward the fight or flight, toward springing into the action, fighting, fleeing, not resting, digesting, and procreating. So when we have high stress, our nervous system is saying it's not time to create a new person. We have higher priority things to do right now. So the way we breathe can help calm the nervous system, which can lower stress, which can improve fertility. In addition, for fertility, I think I mentioned this earlier, for proper egg development, we want strong mitochondria, which means getting oxygen to the mitochondria, which means balancing our breathing so the oxygen can get off the red blood cells and into the mitochondria cells. So that's where that ties in. And egg quality is something we really want to be aware of as we're getting past our 30s into our 40s. When it comes to pregnancy, we have some unique considerations here. So now we're growing another human being. So we want to have oxygenation, obviously, for the baby. Baby has its own oxygenation needs. The whole body needs to be well nourished. And there are some structural changes going on in the body. So the baby is growing and taking up more and more of the abdominal area, which makes less space for the diaphragm to drop down and the lungs to open up. So if you learn a full range of breathing techniques that I call opening the breathing space. So it's not just the abdominal area that we want to be able to open up, but the sides, the back, the chest, all the rib cage areas, we can learn to release tension from that and have more space. So when you're pregnant and the baby's taking up all that room, we want to have more space up top for the breath. And there are techniques that I teach for opening up all those spaces, like physical postures and movement practices, and also emotional. When we have stress, we tense up. So a lot of what I teach is about releasing stress from all the different parts of the body so that, again, we're getting out of the way and the body can adapt and move in the way it needs to. Okay, now beyond fertility and pregnancy, for longevity, if you look at aging research, age-related diseases, everything points back to health of the mitochondria. It's not that the tissues and everything are necessarily getting older, because tissues are constantly regenerating. It's that the mitochondria that lead to stronger cell development are getting weaker and weaker, and that's when we see the aging effects setting in. So many studies that I've looked at around mitochondria and age-related impacts shows that when we do things that support the mitochondria better, the impact of age decreases. It almost seems like we can buy another 10 years of longevity by taking care of our mitochondrial health. So that's where I see the breathing practices and shifting toward more balanced breathing, feeding into our overall health and longevity as well. And also the stress piece. When we have chronic stress, it just kind of wears everything down. So when we can use balanced breathing to decrease our stress, that is also helping our health in many ways. Okay. I'm looking at the comments real quick here to see if I'm missing everybody. How to slow down your breath. We just talked about that. I'm 40s trying to get pregnant. Nina. Okay, yes. So Nina, you're in my favorite population here because of my own experiences going through getting pregnant in my 40s. I have so many resources to help and encourage you. And I really like this notion that bringing our health and breathing, everything into balance, I think can buy us back some more age points. It can almost turn the clock back in terms of what the body can do. Because our 40s is the time for shifting from reproductive years into the next stage. So I think we can backpedal the system a bit by being really strategic and smart about how we take care of our health. And that was the focus for me when I was going through miscarriages and then eventually had a healthy pregnancy. It was really a lot of focus on how to nourish the system, decrease stress, better sleep, all these different aspects. And this kind of breathing is something that I had been doing in the years prior. I'd been researching breathing and teaching it for quite a few years. So I just sort of doubled down on all of those things, and that seemed to have worked for me. So if you want to get more guidance, you see the link below for the slower breathing video on my Harmony Within YouTube channel. There's also a Breathing for Fertility meditation on this channel, which is also really nice. It incorporates a little bit of abdominal massage, and other suggestions in there. Those two together, I think, are a really nice pairing if you're working on fertility. And I mentioned my improving egg quality work. So I have a workshop that I created back in January where I talk about the science of egg health and then the practical things that we can do to support egg health. And since January, I've been adding on more modules inside there, doing live streams around supplements, around light therapy, around doing a thorough assessment of your fertility. So there's actually a ton of content in there. If you're on your fertility journey and you want to focus on this approach to improving egg quality, that's a great resource, and that's in the links below. And there's so much that I can teach you by telling you the science behind things and the mechanics, but really, at the end of the day, what's going to make a difference is what you're doing. And sometimes talking and thinking just gets in the way of doing. So 2 years ago, I created a program. I called it a 7-day challenge, where I wanted to do less talking and more doing, just a few minutes a day, with people who want to decrease stress to support their fertility. And hold on if you're not here for fertility, because I'm going to tell you about how I have programs now that are not just for fertility. So, but let me give you the background. So I wanted people to come together with me for 7 days in a row and do different kinds of practice that would decrease stress and, improve breathing. I don't talk about that directly necessarily, but it all weaves in. When you decrease stress, you have more feelings of safety. Your breath can come into a more balanced place. So it all ties together. I started that program almost exactly 2 years ago for fertility, and it was a hit. First time I ran it, people loved it. And so I've just been doing it over and over again. This is going to be the 12th round. I'm going to cry. This is going to be the 12th round of this program that I created. So emotional. And so many women have gone through this program and experienced so much transformation, coming out of the dark and into the light, because I know how stressful it can be when you have a big hope around having a baby and it's not under your control, and it can be so hard. So over the 12 sessions of running this, 11 now, I've tweaked it and improved it, and it was just so good. I thought, gosh, I want to be able to help not just women trying to get pregnant, but how about when they get pregnant, So I created one for women who are pregnant. And then, of course, why stop there? Because this sort of work could benefit anybody. So I created another one for general wellness. So this could be for your partners, for your friends, for your family, for you if you're not focusing on fertility or pregnancy. And I've had many women who went through my program, did this program a few times for fertility, and then they just got to the place where it's like, yeah, I'm doing the healthy stuff. I want to keep doing it. And I don't necessarily want to be thinking about my fertility all the time. So I created the general wellness one. A bunch of women went through that and they loved it. Even though it was very similar practices, they said, wow, what a different perspective to just do this for me and my health and well-being. So I now have 3 of these programs that I'm just so proud of and I'm so excited about. And I offer it every 3 months approximately. It's quite a bit of energy, right? Everybody through the 3 programs. And I do it all at once. It sounds like, why wouldn't you just spread them out? But it actually makes sense because some women sign up for the fertility program and then they get a positive pregnancy test right before or during, and we just jump them over to the pregnancy program. And then sometimes it goes the opposite way. Somebody was pregnant and then they're going through loss and they go to the fertility side. And, and then those who are going through the fertility or pregnancy, sometimes their partner wants to de-stress and they can do the general wellness. It all weaves together. So if we're all doing it at the same time, these are separate programs. People don't see each other from this. They're not in the same community together. Completely 3 separate communities, 3 separate course sequences. And it's actually easier for me to direct it when everybody's going through it at the same time. So Triple Chill Retreat Week, that is what's happening starting Monday. And I've done it 3 in a row, twice now. I'm getting more and more synchronized with all of this. All this content is lined up and ready to go. And you do need to enroll by Friday. If you're watching this on replay and it's not even July anymore, you can always get on the wait list and catch the next time around. But you need to enroll by Friday because Saturday and Sunday, I'm cleaning up all the lists, making sure everything's in the right place. And then everything is on a time zone release because people are all around the world here. If you're in Australia, you get to access everything in your time zone at the right time. I know you Australians and New Zealanders tend to get left out of these synchronized events. So you're not going to be left out. Your stuff is going to arrive early. Your email is going to arrive early, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock every morning. You get an email telling you where to go and what to do. You do your practice at whatever time works for you. Share your comments and you'll see, dozens of comments coming in through the day. So you realize you're not alone. We're on this path together. I'm giving feedback along the way. And it's incredible, the transformations that come. And it's about doing. It's not about thinking really hard and figuring things out. We need to give the brain a break, trust our bodies, give our bodies support, bring in some positive energy, and nourish ourselves. So that's really what the 7-day chill out challenge is about. And I have taken to calling it a chill out retreat because it's not about working hard. The only challenge is to show up and then we let go. And then we just trust the process and let things happen. And it's really, like I said, kind of magical. So let me just check in with the chat. Let me check my notes first. I do want to mention that these programs, the fertility and pregnancy ones, lead to more in-depth work. So if you like that, I've got more trainings after that to take it to the next level. But I don't let people go into the depth programs until they've been through this because this is such a core basic training. And I want you to know that this resonates for you before you make a bigger investment of time, energy, and money. I want you to know that this style resonates for you. So I have my 90-day egg nurturing program and the Conceive with Ease program on the fertility side. And then I adapted the practices for pregnancy. So I have the Zen pregnancy program. For general wellness, I do not yet have a follow-on program. I've got all the content staged, but it's not quite ready for onboarding. But eventually I will have a full program for people at any stage just taking care of their health and wellness. Okay, so let me take a look at the chat here. Oh, great, I've got a great group of people here. So wonderful. Sarah. So, okay, I'm going to read the last few comments and then I'll scroll back to make sure I didn't miss anything. So which one should I attend as I'm in the 2-week waiting period? So Sarah, I would suggest, that's a great question. This is exactly why I have the multiple programs running at the same time. I would suggest signing up for the TTC, Trying to Conceive program. And then if you get a positive test, then we just switch you over. So Min Cakes, so nice to see you. You're going to sign up again? Oh my gosh, what an honor to have you on board. Okay, Sarah, I did the TTC one, and Fiona says, I did the TTC one in April during my 2-week wait. Okay, yes, if you're If you are going to be in your 2-week wait, so anybody's not familiar, I think probably everybody here knows what this means. Use 2 weeks from ovulation to the time that you might discover that you're pregnant. This is the most, I don't know if it's most, this is a very impactful time to be seriously dialing down your stress. I think all the hormones in the body are deciding whether it's time to receive, whether it's time to ovulate. So if you're past that, whether it's time to build the lining, balance out the hormones to receive and start growing a new life. So the more that you can dial down your stress during that time, the higher your chances of conceiving. And there are actually research studies that have been done where they monitored people's stress levels in different ways and found that there were more pregnancies when there was less stress around ovulation time and during cycles when there was less stress overall compared to other cycles. So lots of support for why it's helpful to prioritize, really kind of getting into your Zen space as much as possible during that 2-week wait. So a lot of people think of 2-week wait as 2-week wait, wringing your hands, checking your calendar, watching for signs. Can you see just by my body language how that's sending messages to your body that this is not a good time to create a new life? Right? Your nervous system is saying, something really stressful is about to happen. Again, primitive brain, fight, flee, freeze, don't make a new life right now, okay? So everybody who is informed going, okay, who's on their 2-week wait? Let's check every 5 minutes to see if we have symptoms. You're sabotaging the process. So one of the greatest achievements that I see in my TTC Chill Out Challenge is people saying, I have more ease during my 2-week wait. So I could go on a soapbox. Let me go with this, see what other questions are. May Silva, can you give us time? Okay, I'm not sure what that means. So May Silva, let me know what you mean about time. Oftentimes people are asking when the live sessions are during the 7-day program. There are no live sessions, and that's on purpose so that you can focus more inward on yourself and whatever works for your schedule. You don't have to bend around a preset schedule. Again, it works in different time zones that way, and you can find when's the ideal time for you to do this and then just report in, ideally sometime that day. Okay, Fiona says, I did get a positive pregnancy test on the last day of my TTC retreat, just to support what Natalie is saying. Oh, congratulations, Fiona. Well, you're welcome to come into the Pregnancy Chill Retreat if you'd like to go through that with a group of women who are going through pregnancy. That's really exciting. That is so sweet. Yeah, Sarah's tearing up. And this is another reason why I can't run this event like every month. It's very emotional for everybody going through it, and for me running it. We see all of the hopes and dreams and excitement and heartbreaks and just, there's just a lot everybody is going through, and I love to be able to hold space for this, but this is why I cannot do this, all day, every day. We set aside a week to clear out space for this healing, this nourishing, and this transformation. Okay. Oh, congratulations, Pia. So excited for you. Okay, let's go up now and see what questions I've missed. Okay. Shante James, yeah, stick to natural breathing or a breathing pattern that feels comfortable, and sleep is good too, that I've heard. Yes to all of that. So much of what I teach is how to restore the natural rhythms. There's so much wisdom in our bodies, and a lot of what we do when we're trying to do something is we're like, how do I make something line up and go a certain way? And like, we're smarter than our body is. Our body is so wise and clever, and if we can put our attention on getting out of the way and supporting that brilliance that is natural inside of our system, I think that's when a lot of magic happens. Now, that's not to take away from, this is the yin and the yang. There are different ways. I'm referencing Eastern medicine as if I'm knowledgeable about it. I'm not, but I have a general sense. There are different flows of things and they kind of work together. So some people will pursue fertility treatments, and that's very much of the managed kind of approach. Okay, we're going to override what the body's doing naturally, and we're going to put this template on and guide the body through this and then this and then this. And sometimes that is what works for somebody. Sometimes there was something going on that wasn't flowing naturally, and some kind of intervention brings the right balance to the right places, and we have conception. So I'm not taking away from the non-natural approaches. I don't want anyone to feel less than or ashamed somehow that they used an intervention to do something that the body wasn't doing naturally. Ultimately, our wisdom comes from, I think, my preference is to do all that you can to support things naturally, to see what the body can do, where things lead, and then be very selective when going to interventions, selective and strategic about what might make a difference and how. I like to be a little bit minimalist too, as a matter of fact, because I so strongly believe in the body's wisdom that sometimes I think the interventions kind of steamroller what the body could do and replace it with this other thing. And sometimes I think that works against us. So I'm not against interventions. I'm for really tuning in and tapping into your wisdom about what might be helpful when, and not the thing that I don't prefer is when I see people saying, well, my body's not doing it, so I'm going to stop listening to my body, stop supporting anything naturally, and just bring in the power tools to see if we can make this happen. Now, I don't really think that you're getting what you can out of your body. It's like, I like to see kind of a best of both worlds approach so that the interventions don't override and discount what wisdom is there in your body and what your body can do naturally. And I believe there's a natural balance to what your body's doing in its wise way. And we risk, when we bring interventions in, sometimes disrupting the balance and making things worse. So that's why I like to be minimalist, try the more natural things first, and then selective and strategic about which interventions to bring in and how to do it in a way that still keeps the body's natural balance as much as possible. Okay, continuing along to see questions that I missed earlier. Okay, I see. KMC, I'm trying to get pregnant after a miscarriage. I homeschool 3 kids, so stress seems to be hard to get rid of. Would doing a breath practice be enough to reduce the effects of daily stress? Okay, I'm homeschooling 2 kids. I can relate. 3, wow. 3 and working on getting pregnant. Woo, that's off to you. The thing that's wonderful about the breathing practice is it can be so natural and integrated into your life as you become more and more familiar with the different principles and practices. You can, it becomes part of your lifestyle. So it's not like, oh, I better do my 20 minutes of breathing practice today. It's something that becomes a way of being and breathing. So I think it's a wonderful piece to weave in if you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have time. How am I going to fit in blah, 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 blah. This can totally fit in. And the question, though, is, could it be enough to reduce daily stress? And what I would say about any of the possible strategies, could sleeping more be enough? Could improving your nutrition be enough? Could decreasing stress through breathing practices be enough? Nobody knows. Nobody can tell you that. The only way to find out is to try. And nobody can tell you that it's not enough either. Okay, nobody can say, oh, that wouldn't be enough. Nobody knows. You don't know what it's going to take to tip your system toward being prepared and ready and nourished enough for fertility. Nobody can tell you. So I think that if something is appealing to you and you can fit it in, give it a try. And one of the things I specialize in is being practical and trying to figure out how to make things fit into modern life and how to make things flow. And in your case, KMC, I'm looking at how to have 3 kids homeschooling become a flow that works with your energetic being. You know what I mean? And this will apply to anybody here. You have a business that you're running, you have 3 kids, you've got parents you're taking care of, whatever it is. How can you arrange your life and your world and your schedule so that there's kind of a flow, so that, you know, homeschooling with your kids is something that you breathe with, something that you approach with joy, something where you let go of some of the details. You know, how can you move with whatever your goals are in life so that these things are all moving toward greater expansiveness, greater ease, greater nourishment of yourself? And when we start looking at it as part of a whole flow, we can be less overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, I have to do this lesson and that one, I have this on my list and this, and it's like this, you know, never ending to-do list. But if we can kind of streamline things into all of it serving this purpose of the flow in your system, and in your case, you've got the 3 kids at home, the flow in the whole household, how can it all work together so that you're not just piling on more challenges to incorporate? I hope that helps. Hi, Candy, nice to see you here. I'm scrolling up to see any questions that I may have missed. Sarah, are there more info on the waiting period after conceiving? I think the key during that period in my mind is dialing down stress. Easier said than done, and that's what so many of my tools are designed around. Shantae James, how to be a mom when you're single. Okay, so a lot of people on alternate paths, very many different ways nowadays to go about finding your way to motherhood. And I do have in my 7-day program, we do have a section that focuses on relationships, and I expand that beyond relationship with your partner and relationships, other relationships that are important to you. And I have special adaptations and content for those who are on this journey solo. So I want everyone to know that whatever pathway you're on, these stress reduction tools, the mindset work, the self-care is relevant no matter what your specific situation is. And so, Shantae, some people on that path are turning to IUIs, sperm donor. Of course, there's obviously fostering and adopting many pathways. Okay, Nina, you're on the heels of some miscarriages from last year. So when you're going through miscarriages, your body is getting almost all the way there. And oftentimes it's the egg health, could also be sperm health, the mitochondrial functioning. And so all of the things that I'm teaching can help in that direction. And I highly recommend my Improving Egg Quality workshop for those who want to dive deeper into that. Okay, I don't think I'm missing any other questions. So back to the beginning here. I'm going to go down to the end and see if there's anything else there. Okay, let's see, where did I leave off? I need a moderator. Help me navigate all the questions. Okay, okay, May Silva has a great question. How long does it take daily? I'm preparing for a frozen embryo transfer in around weeks. I think there's a number missing. I have 1 embryo, one and only, retrieved from my IVF cycle. I want to have the tools to be calm. Okay, so how long does it take daily? 20 minutes. 20 minutes for the, oh, I'm not sure which question you're asking. in general, to do breathing practices could be any length of time. It could be 3 breaths. It could be 1 minute. It could be 20 minutes. It could be an hour. In terms of the 7-day chill out challenge that's next week for all tracks, fertility, pregnancy, and general wellness, it's a commitment of 20 minutes a day. If you're not going to commit 20 minutes a day, I don't encourage you in the program. If you can set aside 20 minutes a day, this can work for you for dialing down stress. And I do see a lot of pregnancies coming months after this event. And you can spend longer than 20 minutes also. I think a lot of women start really getting into it, immerse themselves more. I have a lot of extras in there that you can follow if you wish to, but the core program is 20 minutes a day. And you can do it any time of your day. If you miss a day, it's okay. All of the content will be there for an additional week after the event ends. So if you get behind, it's okay. You just keep going till you get through all 7 days. And good luck to you, May, with your embryo transfer. Monica, I just found your channel 1 day ago. This is all new to me. I feel good about it. I'm in my 40s. Welcome, Monica. I have quite a bit of content for you to enjoy on this channel. And if you're feeling like you're ready to just get up and go, the 7-day retreat is the best immersion experience into what I teach. So there is a difference between what I have on the meditations in the channel and what I teach in the 7-day program and forward. On this channel, you'll see affirmations, which is positive statements to help plant seeds in your subconscious and conscious mind, and guided imagery. It's another approach using visualization to shift the mindset and improve relaxation. And those are wonderful practices that I can offer out to people as a one-off. So you just wandered in, you came to the inviting your baby meditation, it's right there. You just put in your earbuds and go with it. What I teach in the 7-day challenge is a series that's cumulative. And this is why I don't release this on my YouTube channel. It really works better when there's this learning curve that we go through. So it's very, very carefully designed. It's not just 7 days of stuff. It's a very carefully designed arc of learning that works when you go through it in order, preferably a day at a time. It's a very powerful learning transformation. I'm teaching concepts around mindfulness and different ways to integrate it, not just here, but here. So we move, we breathe, we embody these concepts. Again, it's not about thinking and talking about it, it's about actually doing it. So for those who enjoy my meditations on my channel, I'm confident you're going to like this style too, and it's not a repeat. It's not a duplication of what you'll find on the YouTube channel. Okay, Beta or Beata, ladies, look up medical medium. Okay. Okay, so I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to comment on this medical medium. Such things as raspberry leaf, well, I've been doing it, and it really works, especially to add it with the program since we want to have healthy babies. Yeah, so I talk a lot about, in my programs, about the wide range of things that we can do, things we might include in our program. And I think it's really important to sort through. Hang on one second, I'm just gonna plug my battery in because I'm on my laptop unexpectedly. My battery's about to die. Okay, we're saved. How you want to incorporate different perspectives. And if you stick with me, you'll see how I kind of sort through all the different things, you know, from supplements to medical mediums to spiritual practices. I talked last week about red light therapy, and I'm very open to exploring the vast range of possibilities, the more concrete ones and the little bit more woo-woo out there ones. And I like to bring it back to what are our core principles of nourishing the body, creating kind of an expansive energy to support that sense in the nervous system that this is a time for creation. And then there are other spiritual things that you can bring in too. A lot of my members have read the book Spirit Babies, of how the notion that there's a spirit there that's waiting for the right time and the right place to come into your world. And all of these things, I think, are these are just options for us to explore and entertain. And I'm open to exploring all these different possibilities. Hi, Sharon. Nice to see you. Okay. Monica's going to sign up. Woohoo! We already have, I think we have 50 women signed up already, and we just opened yesterday. So normally in the fertility program, have about 100 to 150 going through it. And it's a great group energy. It's a really great group energy. And I know there are a lot of these challenge type events where they have 2,000 people in a Facebook group or something like that. I do not have any interest in doing that. Imagine the amount of hormones in there. All these women coming together. So we don't get big. We get big enough so that we have that community, that synergy. And it's also not in a Facebook group. So this is not connected to Facebook at all. You can turn off your social media, because to me, it's distracting and it's chaotic. And it drives me crazy because I can't follow a bunch of Facebook posts and know that I read everything. I read every comment that is shared inside the 7-day challenge. You only have 150 to 200 people in there. I read every single comment, and I also have an assistant that's helping me read comments too, to make sure that I get to things in a timely manner. But I read everything, and Facebook groups are so disorganized. It would stress me out not being able to know what I did and didn't see. And I just, like I said, I think it's distracting. So, okay, Sarah, did you keep taking other vitamins like ubiquinol during the 2-week wait? I'm not sure if I should keep doing what I was doing for 3 months to prepare my body or not. So generally with ubiquinol, it's recommended that you stop taking it after you get pregnant. I think simply because they don't really have research about it. But during the 2-week wait, I have not heard of any concerns about taking it. Ubiquinol is a form of CoQ10. It's an antioxidant, I believe, that's helping to, it's thought to support mitochondrial functioning. So that is why it's often recommended for egg quality. So I don't see any reason to stop during the 2-week wait based on what I understand. Any other questions? Question from those who are here live. Can we talk about how your skin is glowing? Will you share any skincare secrets? So I know Min Cakes, we share something that's kind of cool. We're both half Vietnamese. So when people ask me, why do you look so young? I'm 52. I've lost track. I think I'm 52. Yeah, I'm 52 years old. I turned 52 in May. That's the age setting, and I can't remember my age. And Asian genes help. And I'm going to do a little promo for people have said, what do you do for skincare? And my secret is almost nothing. I'm minimalist. I'm kind of lazy. I don't really believe in skincare products for the most part. And however, I joined a subscription box program from a creator who had this idea after the Black Lives Matter movement rose last year. She's an African-American woman. Here, it happens to be in my same city, but we met online. And she said, I have an idea for a membership I want to create. It's going to be a subscription box where I send out products from female Black entrepreneurs with some educational information, and I'll send out a box every month. And I said, that sounds like an amazing idea, and it's a way to, promote Black voices and support businesses. And so I signed up. So for a year now, I've been getting this beautiful subscription box of who knows what. And I think it was the second month, there was a box of products from a woman running a company called Boku Joy. And she had a little cream in there. It's body butter that smelled like something I wanted to eat, but it's for your body. I've been using it on my face, and I love it. It's the only thing I put on my face now. It takes the dryness away right away. It has a glow to it. Boku Joy, Boku Joy. And she has an amazing story of how she went from rags to riches when she was in a domestic violence situation. She had to leave with her son, had to figure out how she was going to pay the rent. And she started creating these products to sell at craft fairs and stuff like that. And people loved it so much, this became her business. So like 10 years later, she has this full thriving business of products, and she puts an incredible amount of care into how they're created using safe, natural products. And she has this body butter along with a number of other things. That's the one I just keep using, and I've got to order some more. So if you go to her website, Boku Joy, and that was a play on the French word beaucoup, a lot of joy, but it's spelled differently. I just put that in the chat there. So that is my one skincare product I can share with you. I just love it. I feel like my skin loves it, and I don't remember the name of it. Maybe I'll come back and put it in the comments here, since you were sharing that nice compliment, Min Cakes. I've been thinking that I want to have her on, invite that entrepreneur. I don't remember her name, invite her on for a session, maybe to talk about natural skincare. Let me know in the comments, would that be something you would be interested in? Would you like to hear from the creator of Boku Joy? She is somebody who just has that incredible positive energy, the way she took adversity and turned it into, I'm going to do this, I can do this. And that's the kind of energy that I love to promote and share with all of you. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling defeated, surround yourself with the I can people, the people who say, okay, I'm down, but I'm getting up. I'm getting up again. I'm going to find another angle on this. I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to hold on to my dreams. You know, these are the people that I love to surround myself with. And the subscription box I have is called Spotlight Box. I'll put a link to that later also. But that's a wonderful way to elevate Black female voices. The boxes are, you know, kind of just a delightful little thing that arrives every month, and it's really well done. I do think it's probably only in the US, but you can ask. Maybe they'll go internationally too. Okay. Sarah, thanks for the compliments. Hanging on. You know, I always said, oh, I'm just going to embrace the aging process. And, you know, I don't dye my hair. It's all this gray in here, you know, smile lines, I call them, not wrinkles. And then recently I started, and when I make videos, I saw my profile. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening here? And it's like, this is going to be an interesting challenge to see how I can really embrace this process, because I'm not actually going backwards. I'm going to do as much as I can to support my health and vitality. But face it, we're all going one direction. And I like to think that we have the opportunity, if we are lucky enough to live long and age, how can we embrace that? How can we squeeze the joy out of life and however it gets served to us, and make the best of our time here, whatever challenges come our way along the way. Okay. This has been another marathon session. My live streams tend to be average of 90 minutes, it seems. So here we are at 90 minutes. Thank you so much for those who have been hanging out live. If you're interested in the Chill Out Challenge, sign up through the links below. I've got tracks for fertility, pregnancy, and general wellness. Encourage your partners if they're open to it. Don't put all pressure on them, but it's great for sperm quality as well. We had some amazing results inside our program from one of our partners' husbands doing a bunch of changes, and she had amazing changes to his sperm quality. It was all health-related stuff that he did, and decreasing stress can make a big difference on the male side as well. And it's going to be so good for your relationship when you're going through this together. But if it's just you going through it together, if it's just you going through it on your own, that can also be amazing for your relationship. All right, everybody, let me just check the comments real quick before I sign off. Oh, Mincakes, you can join us again. Awesome. And the Dab, thank you, signed up for the challenge. Okay, wonderful. I look forward to seeing some of you next week in our challenge. And just let me know if you have any questions. Just email me or leave comments. I'll keep checking comments here if there are any questions. And Monica, you're going to let your husband know. Awesome. I would love to have a bunch of couples going through this together. It would be a first time if we had multiple couples going through together. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your week. Sending baby dust to all who are on their fertility journey, and lots of health, wellness, and longevity to everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.